Hi, and welcome back to the Still Rolling podcast. I'm Matthew Montgomery. Today I'm joined by Elliot Marshall. He's a name that a lot of people already know. Elliot is a former light heavyweight contender and a trailblazer in the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu community, where he's earned his black belt under Amal Easton and Renzo Gracie. After hanging up the gloves, Elliot transitioned into a highly successful second act as an academy owner, a coach, and a thought leader. He's the host of Gospel of Fire podcast, a TEDx speaker, and he's an Amazon best-selling author of the Gospel of Fire, where he shares lessons on fear, resilience, and living in a purpose-driven life. Elliot has dedicated himself to helping others overcome obstacles, find their power, and live with courage. I'm honored to have him on here today. He's also I learned under him a little bit when I lived in Denver for a minute, and I'm really grateful that you joined us today. Thank you, Elliot. How you
Yeah,
doing?
man, I'm glad we could do it. Like we said, I think we were going back and forth a bunch. I think I missed a couple, like just my schedule, our emails got confused. So I'm glad we're finally making it happen.
Well, you have a wild schedule, right? Like
Yeah,
if you're not in Denver coaching, either at one of your 8 academies,
yeah,
you have 8, right?
we have 8.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So one of your 8 academies, coaching on a weekly time frame. You also coach some of the most elite talent in jiu-jitsu and in mixed martial arts with you still Team Elevation. I see you pop up, on you're cornering people in the UFC
yeah,
now UFC BJJ. I see you all the time, right?
yeah,
So I appreciate you cutting the time out to meet up with me.
yeah.
Now, we'll start and kind of get into your background. Where did you come from, and how did you grow up, and how did you get into martial arts, and then obviously martial arts and jiu-jitsu?
I'm a weirdo, man. Like, so I was born a weirdo. I was born to a black dad who grew up, during civil rights. Like I was born in 1980, and a white mom whose parents survived the Holocaust. So in Poland, so not like in America Jewish, like they were in the camps. So that was a very interesting mix, and we'll get into some of that later. So I grew up in a little town in South Jersey, and I saw the Karate Kid. If you're asking me how I got into martial arts, I saw the Karate Kid in 1986. I kicked the lamp. I did the little crane kick thing. I kicked the lamp. My parents opened the Yellow Pages, dating ourselves here with Yellow Pages, for you youngins that are saying 6-7 all the time right now. The Yellow Pages were this book that instead of Googling something, that's where you found phone numbers and business phone numbers. And this karate school had an ad of a guy flying through the air and kicking, and I was like, oh, he's jumping and kicking, jump kick. Let's go. I want to do that one. And that was in 1986, and here we are in almost 2026. So, 40 some odd years later, I'm still doing this damn thing with a lot of amazing people and amazing experiences in between in those 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, you've lived an entire life in and around martial arts. I know that you went to college out
Mm-hmm.
in Colorado, and now
Mm-hmm.
obviously live in the Denver area. I went back and I watched maybe one of my favorite seasons of The Ultimate Fighter.
Oh God, I hated it.
I imagine. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
it was
so many
sucks.
things that happened in that from a jujitsu perspective and a
Mm-hmm.
jujitsu fan perspective.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that, and it was one of the earliest seasons where we had just transitioned from a period where, I mean, a couple seasons earlier, there were guys getting triangled in the house, and then they'd ask after it happened, what was that? And so your season, it's season 8, you have Minotauro, you have Frank Mir, you
Uh-huh.
had were on the show, and you had Vinny Magalhaes. I mean, you had a bunch of high level jujitsu guys in the house, and I know that your fight to get into the house was one of the most ridiculous decisions. I would have scored it probably 30-27, and I think anybody that pays attention would have. It was actually one of my favorite fights for the reason that when you were fighting, you were listening to your coaching, and it was jujitsu. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you were on display. Can you tell me
Yeah.
more about
So look, I mean, that fight was crazy. Okay. And I found out all of this later after the fact. Um, because I had a friend who worked for Spike TV at the time, but I didn't. But so it took, I think, a year before I found out what actually happened. So first of all, I cut weight in a bathtub. And so I had just, and we are in the hotels, right? Like before you get in the house, you had to fight to get in the house. Um, and I just asked for a scale, like, hey, can you bring me a scale? That way I can just, track. I'll do it myself in my hotel room. So they never brought me a scale. So I'm just cutting weight and cut all alone, right? Which is kind of dangerous, right? Like
Yeah.
locked in a hotel room. I can remember at points through it, opening the door and being like, can somebody help me? Like, because I was really fucked up. I ended up, and I didn't. So, and the way it works is you don't get a second chance. You either make weight or you're out.
Yeah.
So for 200, officially 206 pounds, because they give you a pound allowance, I weighed in at 197.
How? So, holy shit. What do you walk around at? I mean, where are
Oh,
you
at
starting?
that time, look, at that time I was 220-ish, 225. But so, but still, like I showed up, when I showed up, I was 211.
Okay.
Like, and let's say I don't remember what kind of day it was, but we showed up. We showed up 2 days before weigh-ins. Right,
Yeah.
everyone got in on a Tuesday. We met up on a Wednesday, and we had to make weight on a Thursday. Right, so on that, let's just say it's something like that. Right, so on that Tuesday, I was 211. When I left the house, when I left the training center on Wednesday night, I was 209 and a half. So I had to lose 3.5 pounds. But you look, man, once you start cutting weight, you get you're not aware of how much weight you're losing, right? Because you're twisted, your head's twisted, and you think you're sweating a lot, but you have no clue. And kind of, especially in the bathtub, you can't gauge the water because there's water on you,
Right.
right? Like, so it's very hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I weighed 9 pounds under the limit. So I cut 10 pounds that day. And
Yeah.
and you're already cutting before that because you're getting low enough to be able to make weight in a day or two. Um,
Cow.
so I
That's
didn't have a lot of energy, let's say,
yeah.
right? Like I wasn't my best
Yeah.
physically.
Sure.
So I go and we do the fight, right? And I whoop his ass in the first round. I thought I whooped his ass in the second round. And then they say we're going to a third round. And then in the third round, and they cut the third round, right? They like split it up. They didn't even show you the whole fight. I mounted him for 3.5 minutes in a third round. I just didn't have the juice to finish, right? Like I didn't have, and he was very tough, man. Holy fuck, he was tough. I just didn't have the finishing gas, let's say, right? Because I was so drawn from the weight cut. I busted his orbital. I broke his nose, right? Like he is just destroyed. I think I broke his arm. I fractured his forearm, in that round. Uh, and I'm like, all right, sweet, that one's over.
Yeah. Game
you
over.
know,
Yeah.
got that done. And then they raise his hand,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm looking at him over there. He's a bloody fucking mess.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine what was going through your head because I know that, as a viewer, a spectator who watched it and was like, that's insane that they ruled that way. I can't even imagine if I'm, in your shoes.
So what happened was, look, he was Armenian. The producer of the show is Armenian, and that was his boy. They did all this to me on purpose. The whole scale thing, all of it. And they were like, look, if my guy gets through, if my guy doesn't get finished, then he's going
Yeah.
through.
I mean, that's wild, especially, the news of this last week with, the fixing fights and things like that.
Yeah, but this was like a, quote unquote fixed fight, but it's non-sanctioned because it's the Ultimate Fighter.
Sure. Yeah. It
So
doesn't,
it
it
doesn't,
doesn't even
yeah,
go on
it
your
doesn't
record.
matter.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't go on my record.
Um, so, having fought in
But
the
then he
oct.
got hurt, right? So I got on the show. Let's
Yeah.
finish the story for everyone that didn't watch
Yeah.
it. So, so I'm out, right? And we're all just sitting there. And then after all the fights, Dana comes on and he's like, "Yo, look, homeboy, I don't remember his name, Karin, I think his name was. Karin is unable to continue. His face is busted, So come on in, Elliot.
Yeah. So
You know?
you didn't get your hand raised, but you knocked him out of the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to call that fight's not a loss. Like I'm totally cool with like, my record, like, once you lose one fight, losing two is not a big deal. That one's not a loss.
And then you did very well in the house,
I
and
did
if
okay.
you, I mean, you did
I made
enough
it
to
to the
get.
semifinals. Yeah. I made it to the semifinals. And then I fought Vinny, who made it to the finals in my in my second fight in the UFC. And I beat him. So,
Yep. Um, and you weren't you didn't you fight Bader? Yeah. I
Yeah, I was the
mean,
only one Bader didn't stop.
yeah. So I mean, that's quite a crew. I mean, as far as hindsight being 2020 to be
Yeah,
to be
it's cool,
facing
man.
up.
I had some fun times. It was, and I hated the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine. Um, so one of the things that you said early on is you said jujitsu is going to be my life. I'm going to coach jujitsu. It's like you were trying to become an ultimate fighter, but you said during that show, this is what I want to do and become a coach and
Man, I've done karate. So like I said, I started karate at 6 years old.
yeah,
Um, at that point, I think I was 26. I dedicated my whole I only like nobody remembers what they were doing at 4, so I don't remember a life without martial arts. So I can remember telling my grandfather at 8 and 9 years old that I was going to be a karate teacher because that's what it was, and
where did you
I didn't know
transition?
anything else.
Where did you transition from karate to jujitsu?
So this is a long story kind of. So I've done karate. I did karate my whole life. Um, and I had no friends. All the only friends I had a neighborhood friend, one neighborhood friend, and I had friends from karate. Okay, but around my neighborhood, I had zero friends. Like no, at school, zero friends. The whole black Jewish thing was not very kosher. Uh, and I know we throw around like racism and anti-Semitism a ton now, but it was my life. Like my house was vandalized multiple times, swastikas, niggers go home. They, the first time they spelled the word wrong, they forgot a G the first time, so that was really nice. Yeah, so that, and it's not just once, right? Like this wasn't like a one-off. This was 5-10 times, so
Yeah,
uh I was allowed to play outside with kids, but I wasn't allowed to go in their house, stuff like that. So that was my life. uh but I was accepted at karate. I was very accepted there. So I did karate my whole life. And then the national tournament for my style of karate came to my town. Um, and my friend, who I'm still friends with today, I actually help his school in our consulting business. He did the masters division, and he was good, right? And he was masters by 1 year. And I was like, man, this was like 1997, 1998, something like 97. Yeah. And I'm like, man, why are you so scared? Why are you doing the old man division? Come down here with the men, you know? A fully testosterone 17-year-old at the time, about
yeah,
to be a senior in high school.
right.
And he's like, yeah, you think I'm scared? Come over to my house next Friday night. And I was like, say less. Let's go. Whoop your ass, old man. I had no clue he was doing jujitsu. He beat the fuck out of me.
Did he?
He
Yeah,
beat the shit out of me, you know? Like we tell this story. He and I both tell this story. Like the day after he beats the shit out of me, he gets a phone call from my dad, and man, I'm fucking beat up. I got bruises all over. My chest is swollen from getting choked. I can't talk because I don't know what choke. You know what I mean? And this is like long time ago jiu-jitsu. So like
yeah,
you choked the shit out of people. You didn't just like gently tap people, right? And most people don't remember this. And he gets a phone call from my dad, and he gets nervous because at the time I'm still 17. Like technically he beat up a minor. Uh you know, and my dad thanked him.
good.
Yeah, my dad thanked him. So then I was like, I gotta learn this shit, man. So there was no school in South Jersey at the time. The closest school was Steve Maxwell's school, which is where like the Miglorisi brothers were and stuff like that, before they opened their place. they so my friend, that guy John and my karate teacher showed me a little bit because they were going up to Philadelphia. I'm 17 years old, man. I can't go to, like, everyone goes, why couldn't
What
you go to Philly?
what level of jujitsu did they have at that
A
point?
blue belt.
Belt?
John had just gotten his blue belt, but that was like a god in the United
Sure.
States in
Yeah,
'97, dog. Like,
absolutely.
a white dude with a blue belt. Come on, not a non-Brazilian with a blue belt. Holy shit. You know? Uh, so yeah, so they were teaching me a little bit. And then, I learned a little bit over that summer between my junior and senior year. And I went back to school again, no friends, but I started talking about it a little bit. And these couple wrestlers, they challenged me. They were like, yeah, yeah, all right, let's beat up the fucking nerd who nobody likes.
Yeah.
So one day after school, we went in the wrestling room and I beat the shit out of them. Like white belt jujitsu, you know, white belt, and they were state champs, popular, all that, all that. And I just beat the dog, I mean, it was hard because I sucked. I had no grit. I had nothing, and wrestling, but they didn't know that they were doing it all. So next thing I know, it starts getting around school. Some people start being my friend. I think a couple girls kissed me. And man, a couple girls kiss you when you're 17 years old and that hasn't happened,
Your life.
man, that shit will change your life. That shit will change your fucking life.
Yeah.
So on that day, I said, look, I'm going to fight in the UFC because somebody said hello, people liked me. And look, so here's where we're going to blend some history with my life. My whole life, I was told my grandparents were concentration camp survivors, and most people don't have any experience. There's very few left, so there's most people in the world don't have any experience with survivors, and survivors are paranoid, man. Survivors are paranoid, and the number one thing that they tell you is you have to be prepared for Hitler to come again because Hitler's coming. And it wasn't like sometimes that we talked about it. It was every fucking day that you were in that house, and I was in that house a lot. And I'm saying no ill will here. They loved me. They loved me. I had an amazing household family, immediate family, but they couldn't help it, right? Like my grandfather lost every single person in his family. He left his house on October 25th, and he never returned home again, and he never saw anybody again after that day. My grandmother has horrific stories of watching her sister blow up on a train, things like that. So it's just awful, right? Like it's just terrible. So we talked about it all the time,
Yeah.
like we talked about it every day. And to them, they told me to prepare for Hitler. And the way you prepare for Hitler is you have money, first of all, and you have friends, right? Because you're going to pay your friends to hide you and get you out from the Nazis. Like, and still, like, I follow that rule, man. I could get out tomorrow. Because, and that's not like financially sound, right? Like, because that means you just have some money sitting somewhere where nobody knows, right? and you can get your whole family out and live, right? And that you should be investing that money somewhere, right? Because that's not like smart financial advice. Nobody would fucking tell you to do this. But that's like I can't disrespect my grandfather,
I mean, that's a testament. Like, so our next generation, they're not going to know people that grew up um, in that era. So it's going to, I mean, World War II, if you talk to, my kids or your kids, that might as well be 1,000 years ago to them. And the idea that those kinds of things were going on um, less than 100 years ago.
Dude, it's like Genghis Khan. We talk about Genghis Khan in some positive ways right now, like how he was a great leader and blah, blah, blah. But like, man, 50 years after Genghis Khan died and after the rule of the Khans, like there wasn't anybody talking about it like that.
Yeah.
Because they survived that cocksucker, like sorry, I have bad language,
Be yourself.
yeah. So, but like, that's going to happen. Like my kids didn't meet my grandparents. My kids don't know them. They've never experienced what it's like to be around someone who survived such an atrocity.
Yeah. I
My
mean,
my oldest son met my grandfather 2 days before he died, but he has no experience of what that's like,
no,
and
and
what it was like to be around someone like that.
I would even argue that. So I'm an Iraq vet, and also happy birthday, Marines, today. This is coming out tomorrow, so happy Veterans Day, to everybody else. Combat veterans don't even have any kind of a scope on that kind of a tragedy on that scale. No, we've got obviously war is terrible and awful no matter what generation you're in, but there's nothing like what that like the Holocaust, um, to compare it to. I can't even imagine.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Man,
so
my grandmother tells stories of how like about being raped and like it's awful. It's awful. And my grandfather, it's like unless you're sitting there with the person watching them tell it, and the emotion and the energies and like reading a book doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it. And I was, what I will say now, 40 years later, lucky enough to get this history. Like all of this bad shit, and man, my life sucked as far as uh emotional needs from the outside world. Parents loved me, grandparents loved me, all of that, right? But emotional needs from the outside world, my life was awful, awful, up until I was 18, you know, up until I was 17, 17 and a half, 18 years old. So, but, and that's why I moved to Colorado. And that's why I fought in the UFC. That's why I got so good. It's because you have like tying it all together now here. In my head, that day that I beat those kids up, I was like, man, people started, holy shit. Okay, if I go fight in the UFC, I'll be able to have money and friends. Like this will solve the number one rule that I was told of how to survive in the world.
yeah,
So if I go do that, I'll be good. And the next time Hitler comes, I'll survive.
so mission accomplished. I mean,
Yeah, for sure. Except I
a
didn't
lot of
fight
guys
very
get good at
well.
mixed martial arts.
Because I wasn't fighting when when like I wasn't fighting for like I wasn't fighting to win a fight or fame or money or any of that. I was fighting for this and I didn't even realize any of this until I started doing really deep work on myself. I was done my career all this before I realized any of this. I was fighting for this basic need to like survive a fucking Holocaust that hadn't come yet, right? That wasn't even like staring at me in the face.
Yeah, and I
So that's
mean,
a lot of anxiety.
yeah, that's a ton of anxiety, and that's something that you've been very open about, um,
Yeah, my whole
in your
life.
social media and your public life, and
Yeah,
you know, as far as dealing with anxiety and even in some of those fights in the house, and I reference the house because obviously it was taped, right? So you get to
yeah,
see
you can record it.
had access to.
Yeah,
But they talked about like you had all the physical ability in the world, but sometimes your anxiety was kind of a barrier. Um,
if I lost fights,
yeah,
then nobody would like me. I would have no friends, and then I wouldn't survive Hitler.
I mean that's a whole different kind of pressure.
It's a whole different kind of pressure.
Yeah,
And I wasn't equipped to deal with it. I
right,
wasn't equipped to deal with it because like Francis Ngannou, when he was getting out of Africa, he had more pressure in the moment. So and that's kind of the thing, is mine wasn't real pressure. Mine was this fictitious thing that had been a story that was told in my head over and over and over and over again. So and I didn't have tools at the time to be able to deal with it. Maybe if it was actually staring at me, I would have fucking fought a little better, because like it had to, I don't know,
sure,
I don't know. But your mind is a motherfucker, and it's amazing, right? It's both. It's and this duality of what it is crazy.
yeah. I mean it can make you do the most amazing things, but other times it can literally debilitate you. Um, so what kind of work have you done, uh,
Man,
besides just time
every
and
day, bro. Every day you wake up, every day I wake up, a lot of gratitude. I see therapists, or a therapist, Uh, I take a med, and like there's a lot of downside on the meds. You hear a lot of people talk about, oh, it's crushing us. I would say it's mostly because people are only depending on the med, and I feel like the med is like Tylenol or painkillers. Uh, if you do nothing else, then yeah, you're right. It's not going to do much. It's going to stop working. But if you do all the other stuff, what the med does for me is it quiets it enough, just like it turns the volume down a little bit on the anxiety, so that I can actually go do all the work. I exercise all the time. I eat healthy. I love my family. I have massive purpose in my life. Massive. Like, this is the number one thing is you find purpose. And when you find purpose, and then you find tools in the purpose of how to keep moving and keep shaking, and you kind of point your life, at other people, around helping other people, and make this whole thing bigger than you. For me, that's it. But the biggest thing is meditation, therapy, and then a life just filled of purpose.
Yeah. That was a little bit of the genesis of Still Rolling. Obviously, the name is we're still rolling.
Yeah.
And the transition, I talk from a military standpoint of getting out and no longer being called. Um, I am a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, but
Sure.
when you're not identified that way anymore, and you have to have another identity, and you have to have another purpose and a mission to actually put your energy into that matters.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys struggle with that, and athletes do the same thing. Whether it's a mixed martial artist or a football player, who they're that's been their hey, this is Elliot Marshall, he's a UFC guy, right?
There's no other way to get there without this, right? There's
Right.
no other way to get there without like making your identity this thing. Because
Yeah.
if not, I talk to my friends about it all the time now. Like, what are the two biggest qualities of a fighter? One is durability. So we'll call that gas tank and ability to get beat up, So durability. And the second is a delusional belief in yourself.
Yeah.
Keyword delusional.
Yeah.
Right? So your whole identity is surrounding this thing over here. And there's no, and like, to believe in yourself, to have faith in yourself, you have to do it without it being seen first. That's the whole thing. Faith. That's the whole word. There is no evidence for it yet. Like, if it wasn't delusion, then it's easy to believe.
Yeah. And it's funny, so many guys that don't train, they think they can fight. And they've never been in one.
They've never, right. It's delusional.
Yeah. It's
right.
I wonder if on some level we're wired to think that way. So that we're doing.
Well, yeah, we think we're the best. Like, you have to. That's the nature of the species, to survive. Because why else would you procreate, you do all this stuff, right? Like, your genes are the best. So, and we're not wrong. When's the last time, it doesn't happen very often. It's hard to get people to really say that they fucked up and they're wrong and yada, and et cetera.
Well, we dominate the planet, and
mm-hmm.
we're not running from tigers anymore.
No.
So as far as identities go, I mean, you've made that transition. You've got other identities. You're a husband. You're a father. You're
you're about to nail it. You're the only three I care about.
Right.
So yeah, so I go father, husband, teacher, and that's what I put myself in, and then that makes some other things have to happen, right? To be a great teacher, you have to be a great student. So therefore, I'm a student. Okay, I will always be a fighter, just like you will always be a Marine. That very rarely has to show up in the world. It has to show up in the world in different ways, but very rarely do I have to like puff my chest and fight. Like, if I'm puffing my chest and fight, I've probably failed in some ways of father and husband, and but I'm probably putting my children and wife in a dangerous situation where I actually have to fight. So therefore, that's not good. But I do believe that you need to know how to fight. Super important. And then, look, I'm a survivor, man, and so are you. But everyone's a survivor if you really realize it. One of my favorite lines, and I don't know where I heard it from. But there's only one thing you never fucked up. You know what the one thing you never fucked up, Matt, is? Making it through your worst day. If you're sitting here taking a breath right now, right? Even if the worst, even if you tried to kill yourself and you missed, you fucked that one up, right? So the only thing you're perfect at is surviving.
And it's not just your worst day. You've made it through all of your worst
All
days.
of it. All of it. I'm just taking the worst example of your worst day.
Yeah, if you only
All
had
of it.
one, maybe you need to get out a little
Yeah,
more.
all of it. You've had a lot of worse days. There's more coming. My
Yeah.
parents are still alive. You know,
Yeah.
that's going to be a pretty shitty day when that, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to be a shitty day for them if I die first. It's going to be a shitty day for me when they go before me.
Yeah.
And, you know, so like, yeah, you got a lot of bad days coming, and we
Yeah.
make it.
And
we make
you
it.
know, there's a quote by Charles Swindoll that is, it's the attitude quote about, it's 10% of what happens to you, 90% how you react. How have you dealt with failure?
How have I dealt with it? I love you. I love doing podcasts. I love people. Like I am a people person, but to be super honest, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about me if you don't sleep in this house.
That's
You know,
a good way to put it.
like if you don't sleep in this house and you're not my mom and dad, or like a couple of my closest brothers and friends, I don't give a rat's ass. So that has really helped me with failing, because if I'm not going to fail, if I don't fail them, right? If I don't fail them, now that doesn't mean not make mistakes, you know? So one, if I don't fail them, first of all, foremost. And second of all, you've got to, when you like that combined with, I got here by failing.
Yeah.
Like I got here by just messing not succeeding. Like I tried to be a jiu-jitsu world champion and I missed, and I tried to be a UFC world champion and I missed. So those are failures. Everyone tries to sugarcoat this for me. Oh, but Elliot, you got that belt behind you, and you made it to the UFC and like it's hard to say that that's a failure. Man, look, I'm very binary. It's a 0 or it's a 1. 0 is fail, 1 is success. 0 is not a champion, 1 is a champion.
Yeah, and if you don't fail, you're not trying enough things, though, right?
Yeah. So then you realize that, right? You realize that. And the hardest part about failing, and everyone talks about this in jiu-jitsu, you got to let your ego go when you walk in the door. No, you don't, man. You suck. You suck at jiu-jitsu. So you don't have to let your ego go when you walk in the door. When you got to let your ego go when you're our age, when you're a black belt, Now, look, I'm not a world champion, but I'm a champion. When I'm a black belt and a champion, and some fucking 20-year-old blue belt has me in a goddamn armbar. And you're right. You know what I mean? Or even worse, I have a bad neck. He's putting me in a guillotine that's not choking me. But I know if I get out of this guillotine, it's going to jack my neck for a month, maybe 2. So you tap and you don't say shit. That's when you have to let your ego go. No, you just let them have the win of getting you. You got it. Once you get good and then you lose again, that's when your ego right? And it's so often in our lives that once we become successful, we stop wanting to fail. We stop wanting to fail. And once you stop failing, you stop growing. Because if you're not failing, you're not trying anything. You're sitting in your comfort zone.
That's true.
Have I told you about this amazing basketball program that I run? It's a shit show. I'm $100,000 in debt. Not personally, right? Like the basket, like the bat, Yeah, it's a shit show. And it pisses me the fuck off that I can't figure it out. I think I finally figured out what the problem is. Why it's different than the jiu-jitsu thing. So anyway, we'll talk about what's that. What is it?
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu people pay up front.
Okay.
And if you're broke, I'm not trying to go get money from broke people.
Gotcha.
Where in basketball, most of the people that are really, really good at basketball also are broke.
Okay.
Right? And it costs $7,000 for a season, like the big travel season. Like a parent's going to have to put out $7,000 to $10,000 for March, April, May, June, July for 5 months. Not too many people have $10,000 just chilling to pay for their kid to play basketball. So that shit goes on our credit card.
Okay. Yeah.
And look, and a lot of it isn't that. A lot of people say they'll pay. And then as time goes, hey, I couldn't afford the hotel. And you're in Oklahoma, with a group of kids and half of them don't have money to eat. What am I going to do? Not watch them eat? You're going to feed them. What are you going to not, what are you going to kick them out of the hotel? No, you know? So anyway, as we go here,
Yeah.
donation jiu-jitsu seminars, hit your boy up. I am totally donation based. So,
Okay.
so anybody, so like as this goes out, academy owners listen, anybody,
I know some folks.
yeah, like,
Um,
you know, like I come, like I just did one over the weekend. I come, it's open to your whole school. If they can pay $5, awesome. If they can pay 1,000, awesome. Right. It's totally just like I come and I teach and I try to raise money to, you know, look, keep this thing going, keep this thing going. So, because I just, I see these kids, man, and you get close to them. You get close to them and you see them wearing the same clothes every day, and you see them not, like you see it, and like it's hard. Like I two or three kids on our team have my credit card, so that they eat every day, so that if they need something, my wife and I, have now he's not my biological kid, but we have a kid in college right now. I talk to the coach every other day, and we make sure he gets what he needs. And I'm not asking for help with that. I got that, but there's all these other kids, there's all these other kids that I mean, I'm not a billionaire. So,
sure. Well, I mean, yeah, it's hard because you're talking about kids, right? So,
mhm,
and I've coached football and baseball, and yeah, you have the kids that have everything they need, and they have all the best gear, and
right.
they're set, right? The
Yep.
parents are set. And then you also have these other kids that are being raised by single moms who are working two jobs just to keep a roof over their heads,
Mhm.
and kids don't have anything. I grew up like that.
And those kids parents make mistakes. Those kids
Yeah,
parents drink and smoke weed and spend money on shit they shouldn't spend money on. I'm not even disagreeing with any of that.
and
But like,
kids
right, what's that?
kids have basically you have these young parents you
Right.
know having kids that they haven't had a chance to mature or even grow up yet. Now they got a kid that they got to feed.
Yeah, and I'm not talking like it's really made me just think about the whole thing. Like, man, I'm not giving money to a parent. I'm paying for a kid. I'm paying for a kid to come into to my atmosphere, you know? And my club's atmosphere and our club's atmosphere where there's good people. We're talking mostly minorities here, right? So where there's other successful, dark-skinned people, you know, that they can see that have achieved, that there's other successful, light-skinned people that they can see that they've achieved, that look like them and have had similar experiences as them. But that's what makes people get better. you know that's what makes people get better. We're not talking about handouts and blah blah blah. No, I'm trying to take care of kids, you know children, and through sport, through the process that we know hones the best human beings that there are. Kids on a team, learning how to be part of a team, learning accountability, learning hard work, whether it's jujitsu, whether it's football, whether it's golf, man. It doesn't matter. This is a phenomenal process for young people.
I mean, so getting your upbringing and your or how you've described your life with other people and kids growing up is similar. My childhood, as far as socially, sucked.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
was the poor kid getting picked on until I got like to high school. High school things changed a little bit because I was good at sports and I was able to go play a little bit of sports. People realize, hey, this kid's athletic, and I got picked on less. Um, and so when you can take a kid that maybe they don't have friends, maybe they're getting picked on, and they join a team for the first time. And I've talked about this before. When you take that kid who's never been a part of a team, maybe doesn't have a role model in the home, and then now they have good coaching, and they have people that actually give a shit about them, and and they might not even be good at the sport, but they're learning, and they become part of a team for the first time, and now they have teammates, and they become friends, and that can totally take this kid off of a path that was going to go nowhere and put them onto something where they go and do something with their lives. Um, you know, and whether that means college or not. I'm just
I don't
talking
care
about
what it
just
means.
being
What it
able to
means is getting in
run.
front of people that have actually achieved, that have been
Yeah.
successful, seeing that it's possible. Because most of these kids, that they like, and you can say whatever you want, and I 100% agree that at some point it's on you to get your shit together in your life, right? But we know what that looks like. If you come from poverty, you stay in poverty. If you come from abuse, you like, the odds of you being an abuser are much higher. Alcoholism, drug addiction, all of this stuff. So if we can show these kids something different, look, I'm the one, like the debt, like it's going to become my personal debt, of the heart of the club, because the club can't pay it off. It's going to be my personal debt, and I'm going to pay it off. And I'm going to make the fucking choice to probably pay it off, and because it's hard. Like, it's my life is too good.
Well,
Like, I'm
and
sitting down here in my podcast studio.
yeah,
You
right.
know, my
We
life
I
is too
talk about
good.
some, with obviously the economy is struggling the way that it's struggling right now, and um, my so I my wife, her son, I adopted her son, and he's mixed, and we live we live in what I would call like Whitey McFightville,
Me too.
where uh, you know, how do we, which and Miles is in college now, but that was a conversation we had multiple times. Like, how do we get him around other people that look like him, that are doing good things?
Mm-hmm.
How do we get him around culture that he might closer identify with for that part of his identity? He's half white too. He's our kid, right? So, and he's got friends and things like that, but they don't look like him. You know, he's the black kid in the group, which he does fine with that, and he's never
Mm-hmm.
complained. But it's something
My
he
kids
thinks,
are
and maybe he
my
doesn't
kids
think.
are my kids are a quarter white, a quarter black.
Yeah,
But they're the other way. Like, man, I live in Boulder County, bro. It's 98% white.
yeah,
Like, so,
yeah,
uh, and one of my biggest things, as I lived here, was like, how am I going to get my kids these experiences? Because, like, I think it's important. Uh, and then they did it. My kids did it. My kids fell in love with basketball, and then like, they identify. I said nothing, right? Like, I wasn't, nothing. Like, really, it was my oldest kid. Like, I don't know how it happened, but he's like this old soul. Like, he came home one day, 6 years old, talking about segregation and crying. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like, look, I'm not mad. Like, they learned about segregation in school or some shit,
sure.
you know?
It's a
And
thing that
like,
happens.
yeah, as it should, they should learn about that. Uh, uh, and man, like, he identifies with black people,
Yeah,
yeah, like, and that's what he is. And he loves sports. And my youngest loves his brother, so therefore he's like that, you know
yeah, that's dope.
and they have, and their hair is black enough to have black style haircuts, and like, and uh that's just, so my kids did it for me. My kids brought diversity back into my life without me even trying to force it,
Yeah,
which has
that's
been really nice for me.
and that's good. Like, we can get into our bubble. That was so I came into Miles's life when he was like 13,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, but good at basketball, love
Good. Yeah.
basketball. And he's done some of these things on his own. He's a sophomore in college right now, and had no idea he was doing it. And then one day, his mom, she's like, did you know that he's coaching the girls' club team at Miami? I'm like, Seriously?
Nice. Hell yeah.
Because he's not playing in college. He's a regular student, but yeah, he just decided him and his buddy they're going to go coach the girls' club team, and
Let's
they
go.
travel. And I think they were
Yeah.
down at I think in Kentucky yesterday
Okay.
coaching the game.
Let's
Um,
go.
so yeah, I think it's awesome. Um, yeah. So sometimes kids will figure things out on their own.
Man, they give you gifts that keep on giving. Like my kids have brought so many amazing kids into my life that I get that like, man, that I don't even know that I've touched them like this sometimes. Because like I bought like my wife and I are crazy, man. We homeschool our kids. We bought a barn and renovated it to a basketball facility so our kids can practice and other kids can come and practice and have this safe place where they don't gotta like you don't gotta look for a place to play. They can come on, you know,
Yeah.
come on. So man, and like the kids that we've put our club, with that $100,000 of debt that I have, we've put 32 kids in college. Through getting them in college, just giving them the opportunity to play basketball, be seen, get better at basketball, and then go to college and play basketball.
So
Right?
Elliot, we brought this 100 grand up in the context of some kind of a failure, but what you just told me is you got 32
Yeah.
kids. Like that's not a
Yeah. Let's say,
failing.
no, I know. No,
Financially,
it's not a
now
failure at all. Oh, yeah. Like,
you
man, it's
have
not a
you have
failure at all.
those 32 kids that are in college, plus however many didn't go to college, that are going
Mm-hmm.
to look back and know that Elliot changed their lives.
I'm saying from a business sense, it's failing right now, right? It's completely failing. From a personal like reward of like what Elliot does for man, get the fuck out. I'll
Yeah,
spend another $100,000.
yeah,
I'll figure, like look, I'm trying to figure out ways. I wasn't even thinking about it until the other day. Like literally on Saturday after I taught my seminar at my friend's school, I was like, man, I could just go, you know, a couple times a month, go do a donation base. I guarantee you, at one of these seminars, I'll meet someone that knows how to help me. I'll meet someone, that is in this industry and is like, man, this is how you can really help some kids. Like, so yeah, this isn't like, and at the end of the day, if I spend a couple $100,000 over, a 5-year period and we get 100 kids into college that maybe were or weren't going to go to college and we change their life, say less, dog. What was I going to do with that money? Buy a watch?
right.
Like my family's fine. I have a great house. We do whatever we want. They don't, like what was I going to do? Buy a nice car?
Yeah.
I have a nice car. Like I'm
Yeah.
like my life is great. So, and we all know that we waste a ton of fucking money. Like a ton of money. You do, I do, we all do, right? Like who yeah. So if I'm going to waste some money, I'd rather waste less and do it like this.
Yeah. So when you're coaching in jiu-jitsu schools,
Mm-hmm.
I know that you've got a couple of your academies or We Defy training facilities.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys give back. You are coaching though, to kind of transition a little bit. You have a ton of hobbyists. Every gym does.
4,000 of them.
Yeah, you have competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And you
10
have,
of them.
well, I'm saying guys that are competing in like local tournaments.
Okay. A couple hundred. Yeah, a couple hundred.
Then you have these elite.
I have some elite.
Right?
Man, I've had amazing.
How do they all mix? Or do they?
Culture.
Yeah.
You provide a space for all of them.
Yep. And
I actually provide a space for all of them.
For one of your recent posts, we talk about creating culture and it starts at the top.
Yeah. You provide a space for everyone. And you make training what it is. It's about skill development. It's not about dog eat dog. It's about getting better. So I give my time twice a week at 3:45 on Tuesday and Thursday to anyone and everyone who wants to be a monster. Now, look, that is my time, okay, for developing monsters. So it's going to happen my way. And I'm always learning and like, I'm not, and I'm always trying to get better. But like, you have to put up with some bullshit. Like I might call you a motherfucker that day,
Yeah.
which I will never do in class, right? Like I'm not calling a student who I think could be training harder a motherfucker or what the fuck are you doing? You know, anything like that, right? But I might
You might in that one.
I might in that room, you know? And they ask for it, right? Like I don't force anybody to come to that class. Like they see it, you want to come, let's go, say less. So there's that room. And then it all steps down from there. But they know that I give my extra time to them to chase what they want. So therefore, it's a demand of them to get other people better too. And this bleeds down, right? This bleeds down all the way down to the first day student, right? Who in the intro class, all we teach him is the warm up and how to tap. Because we know that the first day student is really, really scared, most likely. Is scared to come try this and scared to see what it's about because it's nerve-wracking and there's big dudes and they look like monsters and all this stuff, right? And so you make it as easy as can be in the beginning, right? You make sure they understand the warm-up, know the warm-up. You keep the warm-up the same in every single fundamentals class that they will ever come to so that the first 5 minutes of class is repeatable for them over and over and over again so that they ease their mind. They know what to expect. It's just like parenting. You wake up, you say good morning to your kid, give him a hug and a kiss. And then if you got to yell at them, you fucking yell at them after that, right? Because they didn't do the dishes or this or that or whatever it is, you know? But first is love. First is love. Consistency. They know it's coming. Same thing with your students. They know what's coming. And then as time goes, it eases and eases for them. Their fears. Our best student right now, who you see me coaching the most, is Anna May Adormo, right? She has the opportunity to grand slam. Okay. So she won ADCC trials in Europe. Not the one that qualifies you yet, right? And then she, 2 weeks later, wins UFC BJJ. And then 2 days later, she wins the Pans. And then 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, whatever it was, she wins Euros, right? And now we're going to do the world. She can win the world. She could grand slam. She can grand slam. She was petrified to start jiu-jitsu. Petrified.
Yeah.
Wouldn't start. Did kickboxing first.
She's like
and
125
pounder.
125. Okay.
Right? So the best student we have ever produced, ever, better than me, better than anyone else, was too scared to try for 6 months.
Yeah.
And now look, and now she has the possibility to grand slam at adult black belt. Not masters, not purple, not brown, black belt, adult.
That's as good as it gets.
It's as good as it gets. So what we're saying here is the goal of what we're trying to do is not to take the strong and the courageous and make them stronger and more courageous. You're trying to take the weak and the timid and the scared and teach them through the 2 quotes actually behind me. This is why I have these quotes. Through first of all, love, right? You have to love first, you know? And then second of all, you have to make them walk into the arena of their life. And then by doing those things at whatever cadence is good for them, that puts a little pressure on them. Through that, now you can make the weak and the timid and the shy courageous and brave and strong.
Fantastic. I mean, that's and that is the goal. I had a conversation with a day one kid this morning at 6 a.m. He's waiting at the desk when I walk in the door, and he's kind of looking around trying to figure out where he's supposed to go. Get him in a gi, get him out on the mat. And one of the things that made me extremely happy was every single person that came in to our 6 a.m. It was probably 15 people. All went up to him, shook his hand, and introduced himself on their own. It wasn't, that's not a rule. That's not like a requirement where, it's posted on the wall somewhere. That was just, that's who we have in our gym.
That's culture.
Yeah.
That's culture.
And it doesn't get better than that.
It doesn't get better than that. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And it lets them know right off the rip, we're not in here to turn you into, chum. And
look, that theory was necessary. It was very necessary. Like I agree with it. I don't think we should have done it any differently in the early 2000s. You need to beat the fuck out of people, because we were in the time period of showing that this was good and right, and this is the way this and that
Worked.
jujitsu worked.
Yes.
Man, those days are over.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, now
those
that now
days, those days, yeah.
right?
You know,
Um,
we know this. Jiu-jitsu's amazing. You
yeah.
know, I don't. For me to show you like, and the whole like my school's better than your thing, and that's all good, dog.
Yeah. I
Like,
think
it's all good. We don't have to do this anymore.
yeah. Jim, I mean, and I like that the culture has shifted into a more open way. And there's something to be said for loyalty and sticking
I
with.
still
But
believe in all that
I
stuff.
love that. Like, really, yeah. But I'm glad that open mats are open mats. Where we have our Veterans Day event coming this Friday, 6 to 8. You better be there. Um, uh, but we're inviting all academies in the area. I don't care what gym you're from. Come train. Come be part of this larger jujitsu community.
I get a little weird with this sometimes as a bigger school.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. We've had some instances where like people use our school to then go open a school two
Okay.
miles down the road,
Okay. Yeah.
and then want to come back to our school for an open mat and talk to people about coming to train at their school.
Gotcha.
Dog,
No, I get
no,
that. That's a different animal.
it's a different animal, right? It's a
Yeah.
different animal, right? So we're very open, in the open mat. Like, man, come. But like, if you have another school, don't be coming to my school where and trying to poach students. Like this is where I have like a little bit of an issue with this whole, like, if it's just going to be an open mat and training, great. If you're just going to invite them to hey, we have an open mat on Sunday, great, no problem, right? But if you're going to be like, yo, come on Tuesday,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah. Do you
like,
you know
and everyone's, oh, what do you? I'm not scared of anything. It's just bad etiquette,
well, sure,
you
and
know. It's just
especially,
bad etiquette.
I mean, it could be multiple gyms because they're pop. You can't throw a rock without hitting a jujitsu school now. You know, Especially, is it former student?
Former students,
Yeah.
yeah, former students.
Yeah. That's so that's no longer being part of a community. That is, um, yeah, that's
Right.
literally,
And we all know that this all costs money, right? Like, I mean, any business, like, what is it like? It costs money to acquire a student, right? So going to other schools to skip the money piece of acquiring a student because this person is already interested in and doing it and yada yada. That's where it gets a little shady, you know.
yeah,
Cost
yeah,
I know what it costs me per student. It costs me about $107 to acquire a new student. I know this, right? We run good business.
yeah,
So, you're skipping that 107. If you want to throw me 50, cool, let's go. If you want to split it, cool, but you're not doing that. You're not paying for the open mat. It's free,
right.
you know?
So now you obviously know the business of jujitsu having these academies, and
Mhm.
you are doing you're consulting a lot now, aren't
Mhm.
you? Tell me
Mhm.
more.
Man, I think jiu-jitsu is amazing. And I want as many and I jiu-jitsu changed my life. My kids might not do jiu-jitsu, but the reason they have almost everything they have in their life is because of jiu-jitsu. I met my wife at a job that I had because of jiu-jitsu. So without jiu-jitsu, my kids have nothing. My kids have absolutely nothing. So, uh, this basketball facility that they have was paid for by this idea that Elliot got really good at jujitsu, dedicated his life to it, made money, da, 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 you know, stuff like that, right? And there's a longer story behind it, but none of that would have happened. None of it would have happened if I didn't start jujitsu.
Yeah,
So, uh, I think there needs to be more jujitsu in everyone's life, but more well-run jujitsu schools, right? One of the best things that we've ever done is we employ people now for real. You know, the CEO, he makes a couple $100,000 a year, and he's not in like I'm the owner. That's I have a COO. He makes $120,000 a year, health insurance, car.
yeah.
You know,
A
you
real
know. like real jobs. I have 10 people, 15 people that have
Yeah.
real jobs, you
Yeah.
know,
You're not
that,
operating half-ass
yeah,
quickly.
all of our GMs. So 8 of them have real jobs. Like they don't have another job. We've made it's not a job, it's a career. We've made careers for people. Now, can we pay them what it is to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company? God, no. God, no. But we're doing this thing that we love. Does every school owner want to be like me? No, I don't even know if I would recommend it, you know?
Well,
But I think when I say 8 schools and all this, right? Like, it depends on where you are in your life. Look, if you're 40, I just have your own school, you know? If you're 20 and you want to chase it, let's go, you know? But there's things that we know that we've learned that make jujitsu schools run better. So here you go. Now we share that. And like, I'm sure you were around for like the Lloyd Irvin bullshit when he was charging like $50,000 to do this. Man, we don't charge $50,000. We charge $200 a month. We charge the price of a student, and you get everything we do. You get every single thing we do.
right. It's not a teaser program to then get you to
Mm-mm.
pay more
It's all online.
for
But again, we
guide.
put all of the onus on you. We put all of the onus. We don't do a thing for you. Just like I can't do the armbar for you. Like I can teach you the armbar. Here it is. Right? You got to go do it now. You got to go learn it. You got to go put it into practice.
Well, that's
And
the
and
that's
this
the
is this
you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, right? Teach him to fish.
right. We're teaching everyone how to fish. Here it is. And you can agree with it, disagree with it. It works. I don't have to go to my schools. I do, but I don't have to. Our CEO, he was one of our first GMs. He doesn't go to the schools every day either. The COO, neither does he. Amal, my business partner and the founder, no.
Yeah.
We have systems of how the schools run. Now look, I go teach twice a week, all night, every week, do my thing. I love it, but I don't have to.
Right. So do you think you put more energy into, I already know this answer. I don't even know why I'm asking it. You put more energy into coaching or business?
I'm not a great businessman. I'm really not. I put way more energy into coaching my kids, helping to kind of run the basketball thing, my coaching my athletes, coaching my classes. I'm just not a great businessman. I'm a hard worker, that's learned a couple things, but I'm not this. I can come up with some good ideas. I can come up with some good ideas, but I'm not the best implementer. I'm not the best manager. I do okay, right? I'm probably better than most. But like I'm not that, and I know that, so I stay out of the way of that. Dude, I'm a teacher, man.
I love
I
it.
stay in my lane. I don't fuck around with Amal loves taxes. Amal loves reading about taxes, figuring about taxes, like figuring out how to save money with taxes. Amal loves this shit. He sends us shit all the time. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go learn how to teach better, coach better, so I can make more, so I can make more money for me and for other people, so that I don't got to worry about taxes. I'm gonna have to pay my damn taxes,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
but and I'm not faulting him for doing it. Like that's who he is, right? Like I'm in no way am I faulting him or saying anything bad, but I just know who I am, and that's just not me. Like I'm just so authentic. Like I try to be so authentically me that I just
well,
focus on that.
and you're a tremendous. I mean, the the level of coaching that you guys have. I mean, that's kind of how I ended up at Easton. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
I
you
don't
know,
believe anybody coaches better than me.
there you go. And it
They
would be
might
hard
know more.
it'd be really hard to argue against it, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
they might know more. They might know more. John Donhart teaches better than me, for sure. He knows so much more than me. That's who I learn from, you know?
well,
But I'm working, but I love coaching. And I'm not for everyone. And I'm not for everyone. I'm for a very specific person.
yeah.
I am not for everyone. And
Well,
and
some of
and
your very specific people have gone
done
to
well.
the top of the heap, you know. Um, and it takes a good coach to do it.
And
It takes
look,
good
for me,
talent. It takes somebody that's willing to work
yeah,
hard and grind and cut their teeth and everything
yep.
else. But
And for me, mostly it's my kids now.
it's good.
You know,
How old are
for
your
me,
kids?
mostly I have 15 and 12, you know, and my 15-year-old is a grinder, man. He is a grinder. He works and works and works. And when he is not athletic and he is not talented, but man, he can grind, and he is my mini, you know. So he suffers from anxiety the way I suffered from anxiety. So, and we figured it out really, really early. You know, we figured us like 6 years old, coming home crying about segregation. Like, dog, what the fuck? You know, like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
you know. So
How do you get?
my anxiety's been a gift in that sense,
Yeah.
because all of my suffering has paid out in a way that I know how to help him. Like, I know how to help him.
Yeah. It makes you more empathetic, you know. Uh,
But him specifically, him very, very specifically. So we have this bond and this connection that is, um you know, he said to me once, like, we were coming home from a tournament, he played really well, and he looks at me and he goes, "Dad, I don't know anybody would do this without someone like you in their life." And like, say less, dude, checkmate, we won.
it's like you got to put that on
We
the
won.
wall,
All right,
like, right?
I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not crying. You're crying. You know, like, we're done.
Right.
But like,
I'm not.
that includes the anxiety, that includes, you know, the tough love, that includes all of that. So, man, I just, you know, like, all of my suffering became worth it in one sentence.
Yeah. I mean, uh, that's the kind of thing that every dad wishes their kid could say to them,
Yeah.
or even a coach, saying, but yeah, good
So
job,
I'm
Elliot.
not for everyone. And I used to want to be, you know, and then I realized that it just wasn't possible.
Well, if you try to please everybody, you please nobody.
Yeah. And like, I couldn't even be for the few. I'm for the very few, because if I don't love you, or if I try to spread that love too thin, I can't love the way I need to love to make that connection with you, where we can bond in a way where you trust me and I trust you, and all of that, right? Like, and if I have 15 guys, it's not working. It's just not working, you know? Like, because I'm spread too thin, and then I'm irritated and I'm not coaching at my best. And, you know, I have a couple that I'm really close with, you know, and that's it. That's it. And after that, it's okay. I'm getting out of the game, you know? I'm getting out of the game. I want to make sure I want my kids to play in college, and when my kids play in college, I don't want to miss a game.
Okay. So
You know,
you're
I'm not going to miss a game.
so am I hearing this right? You're gonna stop coaching the at the elite level?
I only have a couple elite, like, you mentioned Elevation Fight Team. I kicked all of them out in 2021.
Did you?
I kicked them all out. Wasn't working for me. I kicked the whole fucking team out. They hate me.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Um,
it's all good. Yeah, that was one of the hardest and best things I ever did with my life. That's when I learned not to give a fuck about other people.
Clearly you're still doing well, right?
I'm doing great. My
Yeah,
life is so much better.
yeah,
My
yeah.
athletes are doing better, like the ones that I'm close with, you know. I have a couple up and comers in jiu-jitsu only. I'm not doing MMA anymore. Uh, I have Drew Dober, and Miranda's hurt right now, so I'll stay with them because they stayed with me. But outside of that,
Okay,
if somebody wanted me to coach them in MMA, I'd need $100,000 to fight.
okay. Yeah, because I mean, literally 3 weeks ago, I saw you with
Yeah,
Drew.
with Drew. And
Yeah,
like, look, Drew does not pay me $100,000 to fight. But if somebody
yeah,
new came to me and they're
sure.
like, Elliot, I don't make that in a fight, I'm like, yeah, that's not my problem, dog. If you want me, and I'm not saying I'm even that good. What I'm saying is that's what I feel my time is worth. So
Yeah,
if you're going to take away from me missing my kid's basketball game this weekend, and you're new, right? I'll miss for Drew. I'll miss for Miranda. I'll miss for Anna. I'll miss for some of the, some of the people that have been around me forever, right? I'll miss for them. But if you're new and we have no like loyalty yet, then you got to pay.
sure. And it's not like you can't fill your time otherwise. I mean, game or not, right?
I missed Friday because
Right.
because I was filling my time with some
Well,
shit,
yeah,
you know?
no, I get it. Yeah. I love it. And Elliot, you know, That's the best possible attitude to have, because when your kids are grown, you don't get the time back.
This is it.
Yeah,
This is it.
Yep.
I don't get to do this again.
Right.
When my kids are grown, when my kids are done college, I will be, let's say, 10 years. I'm going to be 55 years old. I'll still be relatively, able to coach. Like if I want to go back to it, I'll be able to go back to it. What I won't be able to do is watch my kid play his freshman year of basketball again. That will
Bingo.
never happen again. Right? That will never happen again. And he's struggling as a freshman because, like, every team he's been on, he's been the fucking man at. Right? He's been the man for 2 or 3 years. Well, now you're dealing with other kids that have been the man. It's their team. It's not his team. Right?
And,
so
and basketball's all teams.
What's that?
I mean, and about, when I think about, like, because I played football, right? So you have 75 kids on the team.
Right.
They all make it, right? For the most part. Basketball's not that. Basketball, you get cut.
Yeah, he's playing. He made varsity as a freshman. But like he is not the man.
Okay.
Right? Like there's 3 other kids ahead of him that are the man.
Yeah.
Right? That play that play a similar position. So at the end of the game, those motherfuckers aren't passing him the ball. Where in every game he's played for the last 2-3 seasons, it's give me the damn ball. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
At the end of a game. So, but like that's a different thing. But and it's hard. It's a struggle. But I don't want to miss it.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't want to miss it for someone that might fucking care about me. For $5,000.
They might not.
And they might not. Most likely not. Right.
Yeah. Just like we just talked about, you had guys leave your gym and open a gym 2 miles away.
For what? For $5,000 you're going to pay me? I need $5,000 like I need a fucking hole in my head.
Right.
To miss my kids.
Right.
And I try not to say that arrogant or conceited or anything, right? That's just where I'm at in my life.
Yeah. No, I think you hit the nail on the head. You don't get the time back with your kids.
But for someone like Drew, who stayed with me when all the other people hated me, right? When I kicked everyone out, knowing that I might lose him, because the whole team, I kicked them, right? He needs training partners. For him, man, he pays me out of he pays me because he feels good paying me. And sure, I'm not going to do it for free. But if he told me he was really hurting and we had to do this camp for free and I wasn't going to get paid, I would say, cool, sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll do it for free. It's not a money thing. It's a principle thing. It's a principle thing for me.
And I didn't even know all that, but every time, and I don't know Drew.
But
I've always looked at him like, that guy's a dog.
He's a dog, and he's
that's a guy.
He's my guy. And he's my guy.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah. And Anna, man, Anna's been my student since she was 16 years old.
Yeah.
She calls me her American dad.
That's awesome.
Like we talk every day.
Yeah.
Like sometimes athlete coach, and sometimes she needs like a dad she can talk to about anything. Who's not going to judge or anything like that. We can talk about sex. We can talk about relationships. We can talk about anything, and she can't talk to, she can't talk to her dad about that reason A, B, or C, but she can talk to me about it.
Yeah.
Without judgment.
Where's her dad and her parents?
They're in Spain, they're in Spain. She's Spanish. They were here and then they moved back to Spain, and they were great parents. I'm not saying anything, right? But, whatever, that's the relationship. They have a different relationship. This is the relationship she has with me.
What was she? Did you coach her all the way through?
I taught her first class and I gave her black.
Dude, and so think about that.
Yeah,
she's best in the world.
Yeah, she's great. She's amazing. I told them all 6 months in. I was like, that girl's gonna be a world champion. That girl could be a champion. And he was like, Elliot, you're crazy. And I was like, all right, we'll see. Let's see.
Yeah,
here we are.
Yeah, bet. Yeah. You've seen good ones. You can recognize it. Right?
Yeah, she's great.
I mean, sometimes
she's great
for all the wrong reasons, but a lot of times you can kind of get an idea who's going to be. So Elliot,
look, and then relationships come back around too. Like Corey Sandhagen and I was his coach. It split when the whole team thing was happening. It was really ugly for a while, and now I'm not his coach anymore. I don't want to be, but we've been able to reconcile a little bit, so time heals all. And that has felt really good for me too. That is, I haven't talked about this publicly, like, about Corey. It really hurt when it all split. Uh, and I was really mad and he was really mad. And, uh, but time's a great healer, time's a great healer. So again, this is about being a better human. This journey is about being a better human, and how I can be the best human possible for me. That's in this father, husband, teacher thing. I've had to learn how to forgive. I've learned how to like, like just walk through the world a little softer. And, I don't know. I like that saying, you walk through the world, you walk softly, but carry a big stick, you know?
Yeah.
So,
It's it says a lot about being able to be a man when you can be in a situation where you didn't get along, right? And there's some kind of a split, but you still have like there still can be mutual respect, even though maybe you're not the right coach for somebody, and they go and do well.
there wasn't mutual respect for a while.
Really,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
you
It was pretty contentious for a minute, years, 4 years.
do you want to share what kicked it off?
The contentiousness,
And if you don't, that's okay.
a dispute between, I wouldn't say a dispute, uh, a very unhealthy human being as another coach who made division often, and we were doing really well. And then this person created division in the whole team, and then in small pieces of the team and everything. Like Elevation Fight Team doesn't even exist anymore. Like so um and that's what did it, man. And it was really sad. It was really sad because like the core group of us had been, we fought together, and then we coached together, and then this person just couldn't. This person just loved division. Did you listen to Terrence Howard on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Yeah,
Okay, you listened to the first one, right?
yeah.
And then did you listen to this, and like you're listening to it and you're like, yo, these motherfuckers have been lying to us the whole time because he's using these big words, and like he sounds like a genius, right? He sounds like a
Yeah,
fucking genius.
yeah,
And then Joe got, and I wish Joe would do this more, right? I wish Joe would bring on the actual experts more, you know? And then he brings on Eric Weinstein, and Eric Weinstein's like, dog, you're fucking crazy. Like
yeah,
that word doesn't mean that, you
yeah,
know? Like, but to 99% of us, we're like, holy shit. 1 × 1 is 2? Get the fuck out of here. It's not 1, you know?
I'll
So
tell you
like,
what, I'm glad you went that when you brought up Terrence Hauser, I was like, Howard, I'm like,
yeah.
where is he going with this?
So the person that created all this division was like Terrence
Yeah.
Howard,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
Gravity's not gravity, it's electromagnetism. There's no such thing as gravity. And like then he like spends 9 hours on YouTube using, I don't know these fucking big words, dude. I'm an expert in jiu-jitsu. I don't fuck.
Yeah.
I'm married, I got kids, you're not married, you're a fucking crazy person, and you sit there, you have the time to watch 9-hour YouTube videos. I don't, you know? So like it sounds really good. And this is the type of person that he was, with some real trauma. And I'm not saying Terrence Howard has any trauma or anything like that. He's wrong about the math shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Certainly.
you, you know,
Um,
so it's someone like that that's put all this division in our team, and when it was working, it worked really fucking well, right? It's like a really hot chick that the sex is so fucking amazing with, right? And it's great for a while, but that shit can't last. She's too crazy, you
yeah.
know? So it's like that, right? It was like that. And then there was all this division, and the big piece, me and Corey, was a big piece of it. It was very contentious, like contentious to the point almost like fuck you contentious for years.
Yeah.
And then, man, I saw him. Anna was competing at UFC BJJ the week of his fight with Marab. So we were in the UFC PI
Hmm.
training, and I looked over and I saw Trevor, and Trevor's his coach now, And I went over and said hi to Trevor. I've always had a good relationship with Trevor. And Trevor gave me a big hug, like, what are you doing? We're all saying hi, you know? And then I look over and I saw Corey running on the treadmill. And man, and we looked at each other and locked eyes. And it was the first time in 4 years there wasn't anger. So I went over and I said hi to him, you know, and I gave him a hug and I was like, man, do your thing this weekend. And then I sent him a text that night. And I said, hey, man, you don't got to respond to me. I know it's the biggest, you know, week of your life, probably. You know, you're getting ready to fight for a world title. It made my heart, it warmed my heart to see you. And it felt good. And I just wanted you to know that. And then he responded and he was like, yeah, man, me too. And then we left it there. And I've been thinking about texting him again and not texting him. And then I was in the barber last week, man. And the barber, and I knew he went there, you know what I mean? This guy's a weirdo. He fucking has a little like a chair in an office building, a small little, so he doesn't have a barber shop.
Okay.
And I'm getting my beard done and in walks Corey. So like, you know, so we talked for like 20 minutes. It was great. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not his best friend. I'm not his coach. He's not my best friend. He doesn't want me to be his coach. You know, like it's not that, but it's softer and it's friendly and it's where it should be. And that feels really good. And we both had to come off of it, you know,
Good.
and that feels really good for me as a human.
Means you're two men. I like hearing that. Um, Here's what we'll do is we're gonna wrap up on that.
Okay.
Um, and what I'll say is, if you're listening, couple of points. If you haven't listened to that Terrence Howard, Joe Rogan, uh,
Got to
and
listen to both.
you want some entertainment, go get it. Um, he and number two, if you have somebody in your life that maybe you haven't talked to in a minute, and maybe it was contentious, maybe reach out, see if you can soften something up. Other than that, go train.
Yeah.
You know, go train. It's gonna make you feel better. So, Elliot, I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad we made it work, uh, and
Yeah.
uh, and I hope that we can do it again someday. Um, I think we both have a lot we could talk about.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I think, and do you mind if I end with something? Is that okay?
No, absolutely, please do.
I think we have a male problem. You know, I think we have a male problem in the world, and I think it's one of our bigger problems because we won't talk about this stuff. We won't talk about our mess ups. You know, we won't own anything. In, for example, for me, my thing with Corey, I'm sure I messed up. You know, we won't talk about some of these things. We have to be right all the time, and we've got a lot of men out there screaming what it means to be a man. I don't really think that's what it means to be a man. First, you know, you got to provide for your family, you got to protect your family, you know, you got to nurture your family, you got to show love to your family and the people. And I'll call family anyone that you're close to and you love, not just your immediate. And man, we got to go be better in the world, guys. And I know probably mostly men listen to this podcast, but you know, uh, jiu-jitsu is a male-dominated sport still, even though I
My
coach a
mom
great
listens.
girl. Yeah, your mom listens, awesome. But you know, like fellas, me included. I'm not taking myself out of this. I'm reading a book right now about being a better man. Uh, we have to do better. We have to do better for our children. We have to do better for our wives and our girlfriends and the people in our lives. So yeah, let's do better. Let's
Starts
do
at the
better.
top.
Starts with you. That's who it starts with. It starts with you and starts with me. Like, so please, I hope no one takes that in a way of like, I'm good and you need to do better. I'm not. I'm not like I'm good enough today, but I'm being better for tomorrow. You know, I'm being better for tomorrow.
I
So
don't think anybody
that's
would have taken it any other way, Elliot.
all right. Cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get worried, you know, because like
No.
I'm like, oh, man, do I sound like an asshole? Like, we can be better.
Absolutely. And even if you're already pretty good, you can be better.
You can be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't say, it doesn't even mean you're bad.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're bad. You can be. I can be a better dad,
Yeah.
and I'm a
I
pretty
had a
solid
conversation
one.
with a guy earlier. You know, he thought I had all my stuff together and had it all together, and I was like, bro, if you and
You
I told
only
him
knew.
some of the
Yeah,
stuff
if you
that I've
only
been
knew.
through, and
So
he was like, holy cow. He texted me. He's like, You about made me cry in jujitsu. In this locker room of the class. So we can all be better, and it
Hell
just
yeah.
takes work. So thank you, Elliot.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it, man.